This video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself.
Media did try to paint her out as the reason why Snow White flopped because of her expressing her political views.
One of the most unlikable humans
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Hollywood once believed Rachel Zegler was its next big thing. She had the looks, the voice, and a blockbuster debut lined up. But somewhere between the fairy tale promises and the harsh realities of public opinion, everything unraveled. After the Snow White controversy, many thought she'd bounce back with her highly anticipated stage debut in Evita. Instead, it's turned into another disaster, one that's unfolding in real time in front of empty seats and brutal reviews. Theaters that once celebrated icons now echo with silence. This wasn't just a slow night or a minor setback. It was supposed to be her redemption, and instead, it became a glaring spotlight on a deeper issue. Rachel Zegler isn't just facing a flop, she's facing a full-blown career reckoning. And as fans, critics, and even co-stars weigh in, the question becomes impossible to ignore. Was she miscast or just misunderstood? Rachel Zegler's West End debut in Evita was supposed to mark her triumphant return to the spotlight. Taking on the role of Eva Perón, one of the most iconic characters in musical history, was no small task. Backed by a prestigious venue like the London Palladium and the legendary names of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, the stage was set for a major comeback. But instead of a sold-out run, she's performing for half-empty theaters. According to early booking data, over 70% of the seats remain unsold, and some premium tickets are being marked down to shockingly low prices. Even the front row is wide open night after night. Industry insiders are stunned. Evita is a proven box office draw, but with Rachel in the lead, audiences just aren't showing up.
Sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
And that silence in the crowd speaks louder than any review. This isn't just a slow start, it's a red flag. As the curtains rise, the panic behind Rachel Zegler's calm exterior is becoming harder to ignore. In recent interviews and press appearances, there's a visible shift. Her tone is more anxious, her words more calculated. It's not just about nerves, it's the realization that public perception is slipping further out of her control. The same woke commentary that sparked backlash during Snow White now haunts her stage presence. Every clip, every soundbite, gets reanalyzed and dragged across social media. What should have been a fresh start is turning into a PR nightmare. Even media outlets trying to spin the story in her favor are struggling to make it stick. Headlines paint her as misunderstood, but audiences aren't buying it. This time, there's no CGI, no reshoots, and no edit button. Just a live performance under harsh scrutiny. And each empty seat in that theater feels like another vote of no confidence. The truth is, Rachel Zegler's downfall didn't start with Evita. It began the moment she distanced herself from the legacy of Snow White. Her comments calling the classic prince character a stalker and dismissing the original film's message of love and innocence struck a nerve.
Need no man. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
I don't think Disney anticipated that it really has a deep and strong emotional place in their childhoods and throughout their lives. And maybe that film from 1937 did not need to be reimagined.
To many fans, it felt like she was mocking something sacred. Instead of paying homage to a beloved childhood tale, Rachel positioned herself as its critic. And the backlash was immediate. Disney had spent nearly $600 million between production, marketing, and reshoots, only for the film to become a cultural punching bag. Despite crossing $200 million at the box office, it was still labeled a massive flop. The fallout was so damaging that Disney quietly shelved its planned Tangled remake, fearing another PR disaster. And while studios scrambled to recover, Rachel's image bore the brunt of the collapse, turning her into the face of Hollywood's disconnect. While Rachel Zegler's theater seats remain empty, her name still trends online, but not in the way she hoped. A clip from the Met Gala surfaced recently showing Rachel being showered with praise, while Gal Gadot, who kept quiet during the Snow White drama, faced harsh criticism in the comments. It's a strange disconnect. On social media, Rachel still has defenders, but in the real world, audiences aren't showing up. This bizarre contrast exposes how performative online support can be. You can be trending on TikTok and still flop on stage.
What are these couches? Amelia Amado. So I actually met Rachel Zegler in New York after her Broadway show performing Romeo and Juliet, and let me just say I have a couple opinions on her after meeting her in person. First, I will say I completely understand how people took what she said about Snow White and how she promoted that and just took it negatively, because I did too. Like, I genuinely did not like the way that she was talking about her character and stuff, but I have to say that in person, oh my god, she is so sweet, and not only that, she is ridiculously talented. Like, in that show, her singing actually blew me away. I've never heard anyone sing that well in person. I can't explain it. It was just amazing. I know there are some clips on TikTok where people secretly record the show. I highly recommend you guys go watch that, because her riffs were insane, and she only had like one singing part, but that was my favorite part of the entire show. She is genuinely really talented and a nice person. I just think that the way that she talks and the way that she presents herself to the camera does not always bode well with people, but that doesn't make her a bad person. So yeah, that's my unpopular opinion on her.
Meanwhile, fans noticed that Gal, despite the backlash, chose not to attend the Met Gala, possibly avoiding more drama. Rachel, on the other hand, is caught in the spotlight, praised by some but abandoned by many. The contrast is jarring. The internet may applaud for clicks, but in the theater, where it counts, that applause has turned into silence. In Hollywood, success can be manufactured with slick editing, clever marketing, and inflated headlines. But theater doesn't lie. There's no algorithm to save you, no viral soundbite to shift the narrative. If people don't show up, the truth is immediate and brutal. That's what's happening with Rachel Zegler's run in Evita. Despite claims that the show racked up $4 million in ticket sales before her casting, entire rows remain empty night after night. Fans have started questioning whether those numbers were real or just clever PR spin. Reddit threads and social media posts are filled with people sharing screenshots of wide-open seating charts and dirt-cheap ticket prices. If the production was truly selling out early, why are premium seats still available for nearly every show? It's a harsh reality check, and one that even the best publicists can't spin. In live theater, the crowd tells the story, and right now, they're not showing up. Despite the clear signs of public rejection, the media machine is still working overtime to keep Rachel Zegler's star shining. She's featured in glossy magazine spreads, praised in glowing headlines, and promoted as one of Hollywood's rising talents. But outside that PR bubble, the narrative is collapsing. Industry figures like Steven Spielberg, who reportedly recommended her for Snow White, have gone radio silent since the film's failure. There's a growing sense that studios are doubling down, not out of confidence, but because they can't afford to admit they were wrong. They've already invested millions in her image, and reversing course would mean acknowledging a major miscalculation. So instead, they push harder. More interviews, more press, more appearances, hoping the public will eventually fall in line. But audiences aren't fooled. No matter how many awards shows she attends or covers she lands, the empty theater seats tell a different story. The hype isn't translating into support. Rachel Zegler's biggest obstacle isn't her talent. It's her public image. Even fans who've seen her perform admit she's gifted, with a powerful voice and undeniable stage presence. One viral TikTok even showed a fan raving about her vocals in Romeo and Juliet, calling her performance unreal. But in the same breath, that fan admitted something deeper. Rachel's energy in interviews, her tone on camera, and her overly political commentary made her hard to connect with.
Media did try to paint her out as the reason why Snow White flopped because of her expressing her political views. Even though her co-star, who I shall not name, also had shared her political views, she still got invited to the Met Gala, but she will not be attending.
That's the problem. She might shine on stage, but off it, her dismissive attitude and tendency to alienate audiences have done lasting damage. People don't just want talent, they want authenticity, humility, and respect for the material. And when a performer seems more interested in preaching than performing, audiences tune out. Rachel hasn't been canceled, but she's being tuned out. And in the entertainment industry, that kind of silence can be more damaging than any headline. Then came the quiet bombshell. Gal Gadot's subtle but cutting remarks about the lack of teamwork during the Snow White production. She never named names, but the implication was loud and clear. Gal spoke about creative setbacks, missing support, and an exhausting process that left many frustrated behind the scenes. Industry insiders and fans alike didn't need help connecting the dots.
more to do with Gal Gadot calling out Rachel Zegler and putting her in the hot seat, as well as Disney when bringing up the production issues for Snow White. Now, Gal delivered the following: "The most important thing when you are working on a film is teamwork, and when you have characters like the Evil Queen and Snow White, you expect teamwork to play a role in the creative process when you are trying to put something special together. We didn't really have teamwork, and there were many setbacks that we had to deal with during this entire process, and I just found that to be very exhausting. When you are acting, you expect your co-stars and the creatives to go all the way and to support each other, and we just didn't meet those expectations."
All signs pointed to Rachel. Whispers about her attitude on set, clashes with directors, and an unwillingness to collaborate only added fuel to the fire. It wasn't just the audience that felt alienated. Apparently, so did her co-stars. Gal's comments opened the door for speculation that Rachel's behavior behind the scenes mirrored the energy audiences had already grown tired of in public. And when your on-screen rival starts throwing shade, it's no longer just a PR issue. It becomes a credibility problem. And for Rachel, that's now bleeding into every corner of her career. What we're seeing with Rachel Zegler isn't a random misstep. It's the classic case of a manufactured star being pushed before the audience was ready. Hollywood has a history of betting big on fresh faces, hoping to mold them into the next breakout icon. It's happened before with names like Jai Courtney and Sam Worthington, actors given massive roles and endless promotion, only for the public to shrug. Rachel's trajectory is following the same pattern. After just one major credit in West Side Story, she was thrust into the spotlight with starring roles, magazine covers, and awards show invites. But what was missing was the genuine connection. Fans never got the chance to fall in love with her organically. Instead, it felt forced, like the industry was telling people who to support. And when that happens, the backlash is almost inevitable, because no amount of studio hype can substitute for earned loyalty. Rachel Zegler hasn't been officially canceled, but Hollywood's response says everything. She's not being publicly fired or denounced. Instead, her roles are quietly vanishing, her name slipping off casting sheets, and her future projects stalling. It's the industry's version of ghosting. No announcements, just silence. One day you're the face of a billion-dollar franchise. The next you're noticeably absent from studio press releases. It's not a scandal-led takedown. It's strategic distancing. Executives know that acknowledging failure publicly means admitting they made the wrong call. So instead, they slowly fade her out of the spotlight, hoping the audience forgets without asking too many questions. The awards, the hype, the fast-tracked stardom, all of it now feels like a miscalculated gamble. Rachel is still being propped up in press circuits, but the momentum has shifted, and in an industry that runs on buzz, being quietly forgotten is often more final than a headline-grabbing cancellation. Rachel Zegler's story isn't over, but it's definitely hit a turning point. What started as a promising rise has become a cautionary tale about how fast Hollywood can pivot when the audience isn't on board. Her talent is real, but timing, tone, and public connection matter just as much. Studios tried to skip the part where she earned her fame, and now they're facing the consequences. From empty theater seats to growing industry silence, the signs are hard to ignore. Rachel may still have a shot at turning things around, but only if she reconnects with the people watching. Because in today's entertainment landscape, fans don't just consume, they choose. And no matter how many roles you land, if the audience isn't with you, it all fades fast. So the question remains, can Rachel rebuild trust? Or is she already too far removed from the crowd that once cheered her on?